What's up, everyone? My name is Tyler. You're watching Mom's Basement MMA, and today I'm speaking with one of the top middleweight prospects in the country. His name's Andrew Stewart, and he joins me right now, coming off of a very impressive victory last time out on July 13th. Andrew, welcome back to the program. Glad we could link up. I apologize for my voice. I just told you I'm a little sick, a little under the weather, but we plow through, man. We're getting this done.
Hey, man, I appreciate you guys having me.
From when we first spoke ahead of your pro debut compared to today, you're talking about a ton of fights, man. Like, you've probably been in camp for the better part of like 9 consecutive months. And I'm just curious, like, can you tell me a little bit about, number one, how are you feeling right now? And number two, how has your game evolved, being as you've been in basically like one giant fight camp for the better part of the year?
Yeah, I kind of like it. I like going straight from one fight to the other. There's always that little couple-week period where they're trying to find me and my next opponent, and I'm just working on whatever. And then as I get an opponent locked in, we start game planning, and it's nice. I like it. I think I don't think fighting 5 times throughout the year is really all that crazy. I feel like I got plenty of time in between fights. I mean, 3 months at least. So yeah, my goal is to hopefully fight again in October for Aries, and then again in December back in Nashville again. So I'm trying to do 5-0. It was my goal. I'm a man on a mission. There's always little injuries and getting banged up. I mean, this is a rough sport. So there's always little things like that I'm either treating or nursing, and then every now and then I actually feel good, But I just don't make any excuses. I'm 5-0 is my goal. Unless something significant happens that's gonna keep that from happening, that's what my goal is gonna be, because I've committed to it, to myself. So I'm just gonna keep rolling and keep on doing what I'm doing, and I'm hoping over the next couple fights I have that I start peaking at maybe the UFC level and trying to be ready to take on the top guys in the world by the time that rolls around. So I appreciate Aries, because they always they try to hook me up with good competition. They try to get me ready for that stage, and they love they always main event me. So it's pretty nice to have them.
You've developed a reputation, powerful guy. You get people out of there pretty early with the striking. Like, there are a lot of people, as there's more and more tape that's out of you, like, there are a lot of people that probably look at that and be like, we're not standing toe to toe with this guy. Like, we're going to give him a complete MMA fight. Do you feel like your opponents are starting to like approach you a little bit differently now that you kind of have established this sort of like reputation for being a knockout guy?
Yeah. My last opponent ran from me the entire fight. I mean, they stayed away from my right hand from start to finish. And it almost seemed like they just had zero activity whatsoever. It was a dominant win. And it was like he was waiting for something for me to gas out or something. And that never came, because I ended up working my way into just takedowns and just controlling them on the top. I pretty much beat him up for 15 minutes. So they can pick their poison if they want. But yeah, it's a little frustrating, because he, at the beginning when they're announcing his name, he's giving me the Max Holloway, pointing his finger at the middle of the mat. That gets me excited. I'm like, please, I'll get out of here in 15 seconds. And then as soon as the fight starts, he's skirting around. I mean, I'm still finding myself in the cage. I'm very physical, very strong, fast, athletic. I got all the tools in the world. I just got to start finding my routine and my groove and figuring out how I can set up these knockouts instead of just headhunting and trying to just be physically superior to everybody when I get in there. I need to come into my own style, and I'm learning that over time. This last fight was a good learning experience for me, and it's always nice to learn off of wins instead of losses. So sometimes I'll depend on my physicality, but I don't want to be going out and proving how tough I am or whatever. If I need it, that's what I'll do. Going forward, I'm going to try to have a little more strategical mindset going, because I do expect that people are going to shy away from engaging with me, especially in the first round.
Pretty familiar with your gym, Nashville MMA. I know a lot of the guys that are out there, and I know that when I think of that gym, like, I think of striking, yes. I think of Muay Thai, yes. But I also think of very high level grappling. I think of very high level wrestling. And it's very easy to typecast somebody like you. You go on Tapology, you pull up your record, you see all the knockouts, and it's really easy for people who aren't informed to be like, this guy's a brawler, this guy's a headhunter, that's what he is, and there's probably not a whole lot. There's probably not a whole lot else about his game. He's probably not the most technical dude. Does that kind of like amuse you in a way? I'm sure you've heard stuff like that before. Like, are there other elements of your game that just people haven't seen because you haven't had the ability to demonstrate it in a fight before?
I let my hands go because I'm so confident in my ground game. I feel like my ground game is probably the most advanced version of my game. I feel like it's at the top level. Like it can compete with the best in the world currently, and that's because of Dustin Ortiz. You know, everything he teaches us is that level, especially in the grappling department. And I'm comfortable letting my hands go because of the confidence I have on the ground. If anybody wants to try to take me down, best of luck. That's all I'm going to say.
Would you ever compete in any grappling matches?
I've competed in a couple of jiu-jitsu tournaments. I've never lost a jiu-jitsu match. I'm 21-0 in jiu-jitsu matches, but I need to start competing, which I've always competed at because I'm a white belt or blue belt every time I've competed. So I've only competed at like an intermediate level, but I haven't really ran into a lot of competition at that level. So I think next time I compete, I'm probably going to try to compete at the expert or open level and see. But yeah, I've always won my weight class and the unlimited weight class division in each jiu-jitsu competition I've had. And jiu-jitsu's not too hard after you do MMA.
What's your is there like a money move that you have? Like, is there like a particular choke that you're like pretty famous for in your gym?
Because I'm so strong, the arm triangle presents itself a lot, but also when I get into side control, I can work the Kimura straight arm lock and Americana, kind of all mix those together. So yeah, but then I also have several triangle chokes from several different angles that I have yet to get to use in a competition because I haven't been underneath anybody yet. But that's something I have that I really take a lot of pride in. Like once I get to a certain position, I feel like I can just, it's a matter of time before I can lock in a triangle choke. I think I have a really dangerous ground game from my back and on top. But when I get in MMA, I seem to just want to, throw punches and stuff. You almost forget about jiu-jitsu. So that's going to be part of my development is just take my time and go ahead and secure one of the submissions that I'm great at. Like watching the fight back with Ralston, in the first round, I had him dominating him in side control, and he had his arm hanging out there. I could have took it several different occasions, but I'm too worried about trying to post up and elbow him, But it's just I have so little experience in the fight doing that. But now that I've seen it and I got film and it goes through my mind constantly, the next time I end up in that position, there's a good chance I take my time and get the submission that I want.
You hit on a lot of really interesting things, particularly about the Ralston Thomas fight. Now, I looked at that fight; it got announced, and I was like, okay, like I was like, I'm gonna guess second round knockout, and I think that I predicted that on Tapology. I'm like, tough guy. He'll probably last the first round, and then the second, he'll probably get caught. He goes the 15-minute distance with you, and that. Not a lot of people have done that. That was the very first time in a pro fight that has happened to you. You talked about him like avoiding your power hand and doing enough to kind of like survive. And so it sounds like you're maybe not like 100% satisfied with that, but I would counter that by asking you, like, is there something about that fight that sticks out in your mind that you are really happy about?
Yeah, I wanted to fight on the ground. I took it to the ground. So when I'm in the middle of a fight, once I got him on the ground the first, I was overswung, kind of got in on his body against the cage, and I just went ahead and took the takedown because it presented itself. And then once I got on top and I started feeling the power difference and the weight distribution, like how I could control him. I could control him easily on top. And then in your head, in between rounds, you're thinking, well, if I get this on the ground, these rounds are just money in the bank.
Sure.
And that's kind of where I got. I was like kind of overswinging a little bit. Balance wasn't quite there on the feet, but then I would, get in on his body against the cage, and then I just work in for the takedown and take him down. And it was a dominant. I did fine. I like that. Like when I wanted to get it there, that's where it went. And I like showing that I can be dominant for 15 minutes straight. But honestly, if I clean up just a few small details, he probably doesn't make it out of the first round. And if he does, he's going to be in rough shape for the second round. You probably would have been accurate. But no, I like that. I like that I went to 15 minutes. If somebody thinks they're just going to drag me out and win, maybe they'll watch that fight and think that's the way they should go, or they can watch that fight and think, well, he's not going to slow down, because I was pushing forward the entire time, and wasn't really that efficient with it, and I still had no problems with 15 minutes. It gives me confidence. I don't feel like 15 minutes is that long. Personally, I feel like I can push a good pace for 15 minutes, and I'm going to get nothing but better at it.
Well, you did your job, and you most importantly went out there and performed and got the win, and that's what it's all about at the end of the night.
Yeah, he's a tough guy. He's a tough guy. I mean, he's no slouch. He's going to be a good win for me. I think as time goes on and he keeps fighting, it's going to look really good on my record, because he was tougher than I expected. And he was stronger than I expected. He wasn't stronger than me. He was probably surprised at my strength, but he was stronger than I expected him to be. Usually when I get on top of somebody, it's significantly stronger or more powerful than them. I was just a little stronger than him. I could tell, and I'm sure he could too. He was probably surprised. He's probably used to being the more powerful guy. He's probably used to finding his way up, Derek Lewis style, if he wants to. It's just that's not going to work with me. So,
well, 2024, you have 2 bouts under your belt thus far, and we still got, another handful of months left in the year. And you've also been competing at 175 pounds. And I'm curious, I looked at it, you fought at 175 pounds versus Warren Smith, and then the most recent fight against Thomas, 175 pounds. Again, to me, it sounds like you're kind of experimenting a little bit and maybe thinking about going down to welterweight at that next level of competition. Can you tell me a little bit, Andrew, about what prompted you to explore this whole idea of potentially fighting at a lower weight?
Yeah, I just want to take every advantage that just being disciplined can give me. I feel like I guess the big question is, I don't know if I would be better at welterweight or middleweight. I feel great at middleweight, and I feel like I'll be even better at welterweight. And so when I fought Warren, that was my first time going below 85. So we asked for the catch weight, and he was happy to take it. And then he missed weight, which is crazy, because he's 5'6".
Oh boy, yeah,
But
you gotta make the weight if you're 5'6".
I was shocked, But anyways, he gave me part of his purse. I'll take it. But and then we were shooting for 170 this fight, and Ralston actually asked for the catch weight, and we just accepted that, because it's hard for me to find opponents. So he asked for the fight, so I was like, sign it, And then they came back and say he wants 75 instead. I'm like, that's fine, dude. I could care less. But my goal is 170. So I'm hoping that this next fight will be potentially 170, and then I can stay there. Or if I don't like it, I'll just go to middleweight and stay there, because I'm not a really undersized middleweight. But I think ideally at my peak potential, 170, I'll be a handful.
Do you have a time frame in mind for when you would like to compete again? And are there some guys that you would like to fight?
I want to compete on October 18th, and then back again in Nashville in December. That's my goals. Obviously, I got to get the manager and Dustin involved, and I'm just now getting back into the gym from the fight last weekend. So I still got to get back going, and then we'll start looking for opponents and see if we can lock something in. But I don't really have any particular opponents or call-outs. I do look at the Tapology rankings, and the number 1 welterweight that's showing is Luis Pena, and he beat one of my teammates the last time he fought. I don't know if he'd be willing to, step in there with me. It might be something he's not interested in. It seems like there's not a lot of people interested in getting in there. But he's a big name, good record. I think he'd be a good win. He's 6'3", so it wouldn't be size discrepancy. But I think I'd definitely carry the power and strength advantage going into that. But I need to look at the welterweight rankings and see what the talent looks like around here, because I've always kind of focused on the middleweight. But honestly, if it turns out to be a middleweight fight, any and everybody, anything that gets me to the next level, same thing with welterweight. but it'd be cool to have a cool name, a big name that's, maybe somebody that's fought at the highest level, somebody that if I get a nice statement win, it turns some heads at the highest level.
Absolutely. Well, I'm certainly looking forward to it. And we have like a lot of room to go at between now and the end of 2024. I'm really curious, sir, to see just kind of who they put you up against and more of your fights. I like watching you fight. You're a violent guy in the cage, and you definitely entertain people. And the last time we were on this program, I talked about the Stewie Squad that comes out there and supports you. And, we have to talk about these guys again, like a rabid fan base of people that go out there to watch you perform. What do you got to say to these guys that went out there and watched you fight Thomas here a few weeks back?
Man, it's an honor to fight in front of them, man. I walk out and I just got this wave of white shirts wearing my shirts. They're just yelling, screaming. I mean, I can't hardly hear my corners while I'm fighting. I mean, they just go crazy. And I don't know what I've done to deserve to have that many good people in my life and that many people that come support me, because they come support me from all over the country. And they're just people that I've met over the course of my life. They know that I'm going to prepare and give everything my all. And they just believe in me. They believe that I can beat everybody in the world, and they're just excited to be part of my journey. Several of them are sponsors of mine. Like one of my friends, like probably my loudest fan, his name's Daryl. Everybody knows him, and he pretty much gets threatened to be kicked out every time he's at it. But he paid for my nutritionist, my last camp. I mean, I've been blessed to meet great people and establish great relationships with people that come out to support. And I'm hoping that every time I fight in Knoxville, Chattanooga, Nashville, I can just keep drawing more in, because it seems like it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger every time. But it's like a party for them every time. I mean, they show up at 6 and party till 10 o'clock when I fight, and then it's just a time. It's like a big party for them every time I fight. They love it.
Well, shout out to the Stewie Squad. It seems like a special batch of really amazing people. They seem like my people. I got to be honest.
Hey, my poor wife trying to keep them under control. You should, it's crazy. Like she's out there just trying to keep them from causing me any problems outside of fighting.
All right, Stewie Squad, make sure you're on your P's and Q's for the next fight. For the next fight, good behavior. We don't want anyone to get kicked out. Hey,
if you ever come to one of my fights, I'm going to hook you up with the Stewie Squad shirt, and I introduce you to a couple of the main characters in the Stewie Squad, and they'll show you a good time.
All right. Well, that sounds like a plan. And before I let you go, I also know that you have a ton of other people, Andrew, that support you and make sure that you're geared up and we see the best version of you come fight night. Who do you need to shout out? Who do we need to talk about before I let you go?
I just picked up Rev Gear as a sponsor. They've hooked me up with a lot of good merch and good equipment. I just started using it this week. I love it. So Rev Gear, huge shout out to them. I appreciate the confidence they have in me and sponsoring me. If you want to go to revgear.com, promo code ASTEW, get 10% off. Anybody that wants anything martial arts related. And then also I got Proactive Spine Care in Somerset, Kentucky, and I got the Ridge Chiropractic in Columbia, Kentucky. So those two they work for a company that used to be one of my old sponsors. They've both started their own practice, and then they've continued to sponsor me, from both their separate accounts. And then Coastal Carolina Pools, which is my buddy Daryl, who paid for my nutritionist. He hooked me up, which I just was talking on the phone to him about. I'm going to start trying to reach out to get more sponsors, try to negate some of the costs that's associated with just fighting in general. Because you dish out a lot of money in this sport just to give yourself a chance. And he just was like, I know I want. He's like, I'll take care of the nutritionist. And I was like, I appreciate just more support. I'm blessed to have them, all of them, and I'm happy to take more sponsors. I actually need to reach out, and I've had several people offer that I haven't been real pushy about, but I may reach out and try to get more sponsors going forward, especially as I start to level up, and I feel like I can have more of a contribution to their business as I get more eyes on me.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you are a potential sponsor and you're watching this video, you know who to hit up. Make sure you do that because to Andrew's point, the amount of money that goes into this, like this is a losing endeavor. If you're not in the UFC, you are paying. It's a pay to play sort of situation. So I don't think people really realize like the licensing, the medicals, the food.
You're really betting on yourself. You're really betting on yourself.
And then just the time, right? Like all the time that you're invested, all the time that you spend in the gym getting ready, because that's time that you could be spending with your family. That's time that you could be working, making more money. Like you really have to give up a lot to pursue this. And, more power to you. Like, you need to get any sort of support that people are willing to provide to make it to that next level because of how difficult it is.
Yeah, I agree.
For sure.
Anybody out there?
Andrew, you're the man. I appreciate your time this afternoon. And I look forward to having you back very, very soon ahead of your next fight, sir.
Okay, shooting for October. Hopefully everything comes together. We get an opponent and we get everything lined out, and then back in Nashville in December. I think I've talked Jeff into putting up a King of the Underground belt for the Underground in December. I tried to get it this time, but I said I asked a little too late. But yeah, hopefully I get some hardware around me at some point, and I'd like to hold the Aries professional belts as well, even maybe both middleweight and welterweight. So that's my goal, is to fight the best people I can, get to the highest level I can as fast as I can.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you go. I've been talking to Andrew Stewart, and his contact information on Instagram will be in the description for this video. And stay tuned, more to come. He already said a guy that he wanted to fight, and then he also said that he's got way more in store and potential strap season upon us. So make sure you all stay tuned to this guy. Very special prospect, and I'm looking forward to watching the next fights, and you should be too. Thank you, Andrew. Appreciate your time, and we'll talk soon.